a recent case that garnered social media attention is that of a TikTok influencer and fake doctor Matthew Lani. Lani regularly shared medical advice on the social media platform. Now, his account has since been banned on the popular video app. Now, medical practitioners are concerned about the rise of fake online doctors in the country, with the majority of them using social media platforms to dupe patients. Today, we unpack the things that you need to know about social media and the South African law. We're joined this afternoon by social media expert Margriet Groenewald. Thank you very much for joining us this afternoon. What are some of the basics that I as an individual need to understand when I decide to go onto a social media platform and present myself as a certain person with certain expertise? What are the parameters that I should be working within?
I think it's so important to understand that you as an individual has got the right of, or it's almost like you become a publicist. Like when you have a newspaper or a magazine, journalists understand what the law says. But we as individuals, the moment we send a WhatsApp, and this is true for WhatsApp as well, what you say on WhatsApp, on Twitter, on Facebook or Instagram can land you in jail. And it is so important for users on the ground to understand that this is a public forum. It is a place where what you say stays there forever. And we can look at cases from the past and we know about Penny Sparrow that just, went on a rant on Facebook, and she actually got a fine of 150,000 rand. So what we need to know for you on the ground is whatever you say, first of all, will you say this on a billboard with your name next to it? If you wouldn't, then think twice. But secondly, you need to understand that you have the power, the same as any journalist in this country. So a journalist can't simply go and say something terrible about someone in a newspaper because they will get sued. So exactly the same, you as user are exactly under that same law. So if you say something about someone that could harm their reputation, something that could incite violence, something that is not true, something fake news. And what we need to understand is this is not you saying that. If you, for instance, retweet something or you share something and that thing is incitement of violence or maybe damaging to someone's reputation, you could be held liable with a sentence of up to 3 years in our law currently, the Cyber Crimes Act law, or a fine.
That's very interesting, because it does seem that we are on top of things when it comes to the law and making sure that users of social media understand the parameters within they can operate. But what about the level of oversight? Because there are probably hundreds of thousands of Dr. Lanis out there who are peddling fake news or pretending to be something that they're not. So one wonders about the oversight and how we can better monitor these platforms to make sure that people aren't getting away with these instances, because I think unless what they call them, the Twitterati, had done their Twitter investigations or whatever you will call it, we probably would have not found out about him.
Absolutely. So here's the thing. With any act, especially in this country, we've got acts. The policing of these acts are maybe not that great, but you as a user must take responsibility, because I don't want to be the Dr. Lani that in the end gets caught. So before you post something, just think twice. What if I am the next Penny Sparrow? So yes, as you are saying, it's happening. Thousands of people are just posting opinions or saying bad things about others on social media. It is like speeding or driving while you are drunk. The thing is, you don't want to be in that position for what if it happens to you. So the Dr. Lani case is very, very interesting. I mean, he just said he's a doctor and people started following. And you know what? He's still going to have a following. But at the end of the day, what he did was a criminal act. It is against the law. to do what he did. So for those people out there still thinking that it is okay, the thing is your day is going to come. Maybe not now, but you don't want to be in that position.
You mentioned something quite important, Marguerite, and I want us to just unpack it a little bit further. The idea is that it's not just what you post that could get you into trouble, but it's maybe you reposting what Marguerite posted about what's happening in the Middle East, for example, or inciting violence like we saw during the July unrest. The culpability that someone would have in reposting or resharing content that is harmful. What are the implications in that regard?
Yes, absolutely. So when you reshare, even if you just like something that someone said, you can be held liable. And the thing is, it sounds, so like people don't understand it, but it's because we don't hear of all the cases that are in court. So there was actually a court case where someone posted something and they just tagged the person who were unaware of the post, and that person had to pay a fine because of that post of someone else. So the thing is, when you retweet something, but I think what is more important here is when you are on a WhatsApp group and there are, for instance, a joke that is racial, or maybe there's bullying, maybe it's teenagers or children in school, and they are in a group and someone is bullying someone else. If you are in that group and you did not say you distance yourself from this conversation or you leave the group, you could be held liable according to our law in South Africa with a fine or with a prison sentence.
I want to speak a little bit more about the accountability or responsibility of the social media platforms, Marguerite, if you will. And I'll tell you why. We have a situation where people are meeting others of the LGBTQI plus community of Grindr as an example, and it's a mutual conversation on that social media platform. And then, of course, crimes will subsequently happen afterwards when they meet. And the argument by these social media creators or the platform creators is that there's no crime that's actually committed on the platform. The kidnappings and everything else happens after they've met. But surely, even with that argument, which is perfectly understandable, there needs to be some form of responsibility by platforms like TikTok and X and Grindr, whatever it may be.
Absolutely. You know what is happening? The online world is moving faster than what the law can actually move. And we've seen this with all, Mark Zuckerberg has been in America before the government so many times, and they have had fines and things like that. But it's very, very difficult for people because the online world is just moving so fast. So they are trying to do things. I mean, if we compare it to 5 or 10 years from ago, they actually put a lot of things in place to monitor content, to monitor sponsored content. But it is sort of a very difficult thing because you have a platform where every single person has the platform to just write anything and incite violence and meet people. That is actually a very big problem, and it's something that we don't really have a solution to that as of yet.
Very, very interesting conversation. Thank you very much for taking the time to join us this afternoon. That is social media expert Marguerite Groenewald joining us to speak about social media and the parameters in which you as an individual can operate. Remember, it's not just what you post, it's what you like, what you share that could also hold you culpable if it incites violence, if it affects someone's reputation, if it's fake news, or if it's hate speech.